Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here with another coding problem called meeting rooms. Meeting rooms is actually a very common interview question. I personally have encountered this question in one of my interviews, and I believe making a video on this problem is going to be very helpful for you. And on LeetCode, there is a series of meeting room questions. So I'm planning on doing a series of those videos, and I hope you enjoy it. And let's get started. So first, let's take a look at this question. You're given an array of meeting time intervals with start and end times. And your task is to determine if one person could attend all meetings. So basically, whenever we see an overlap between two time intervals, we could stop and return false. The fastest way to determine an overlap among those time intervals is to sort those time intervals first. We could sort these time intervals by their start time. After we've sorted all the time intervals, we would just loop through those time intervals and then find out if there is a time interval that overlaps with the previous one. To determine if the current time interval overlaps with the previous one, what we do is we look at the current start time and we compare it with the previous end time. If the previous end time is after the current start time, that means we have an overlap. If the current start time is after the previous end time or equal to the previous end time, that means we don't have an overlap and we can move on to the next time interval and then compare those two again until we reach the end of the array, and that means the person could attend all the meetings. So let's take a look at how we could code this out. So the first thing that we need to check is to check whether the intervals that's given is valid. So if not, intervals, or we need to check how many time intervals are in the intervals array. So if the length of intervals is less than or equal to 1, if there is only one time interval in the intervals array, that means we could definitely attend all meetings. So in this case, we return true. And the next thing that we need to do is to sort the intervals. So intervals.sort, since we're only sorting them by the first element, the start time of each interval, so we're going to need a lambda function. So lambda x, we're picking the first element. So then we're going to loop through and range from index 1 to the end of the intervals array, and we're going to compare the current interval's start time with the previous interval's end time. So if it is less than the previous interval's end time, that means we are looking at an overlap. So return false. Otherwise, we return true. And let's talk a bit about the runtime and the space complexity. For the runtime, it's mainly determined by the sorting algorithm. So normally a sorting algorithm takes up to big O of nlogn runtime. And then we are looping through every element in the interval, so that's going to be a runtime of big O of n. So in total, this question has a runtime of big O of nlogn. And for the space complexity, since we're not using any extra space to store anything, so the space complexity for this solution is going to be big O of 1. Alright, so that's it for today, and please stay tuned for the next video of the series of meeting room questions. And don't forget to give this video a thumb up if you found it helpful, and feel free to leave any comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!